Hello everyone. So in this video I'm going to talk about income determination with government spending and tax, right? So I'm going to use aggregate demand and supply approach to determine income in this three sector model. So what is this aggregate demand and supply approach? So we have here 80, let me just, this is too thick here. Okay, so we have aggregate demand, and the variables of aggregate demand is C plus I plus G, so which is basically consumption plus investment plus government spending. And on the supply side we have again consumption plus savings plus taxes. So the Keynesian condition for equilibrium of national income is basically aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. So when you equate aggregate demand with aggregate supply, right, you get the equilibrium condition. So this is equilibrium condition. Okay, condition, pardon my handwriting. So this is basically nothing but C plus I plus G equals C plus S plus T, which is equal to national income. Okay, so in order to determine income with government spending and tax, we will use a consumption function, right? So what we will do basically is we will use the consumption function and substitute it in this equation right here. Let me show you how. So we have consumption function C, which is equal to A plus by. So this y is basically nothing but disposable income available to the consumer for actual spending. So I'm going to just put a subscript D here, which tells you that this is a disposable income. So in three sector model, C needs to be redefined, of course, right? So how are we going to do that? In three sector model we have a tax component, right? So if we introduce the tax component here, if we tax the income of consumer, what will happen is that the disposable income that is available to consumer will go down. So how are we going to do that? So if we tax the income, well, the disposable income will now be equal to y minus t, right? So this is after the introduction of taxes. This is basically after the introduction of taxes. Okay, so now if now the new consumption function will be equal to C equal to A plus B times y minus t. Now let me just call this entire equation as I don't know, let's equation 2, and this is equation 1. Equation 1. Okay, so we will now substitute the consumption function in equation 1. Okay, so we'll get, let me change the color. Now you'll use I'll use red. Okay, so after substituting the value of C in the equation 1, we get y equals A plus B times y minus t plus I plus G, right? Now this is equal to y, this is equal to A plus, I'm gonna distribute B into the brackets, by minus bt. plus I plus G. Now I'm gonna take by on the other side of the equation. So by subtracting by from both sides of the equation, we get y minus by equals a minus bt plus I plus g. So taking y common from here, we get y times 1 minus b equals a minus bt plus I plus g. So this is the whole exercise that we're going to do here. So I will just bring 1 minus b to the other side of the equation. So by dividing 1 minus b on both sides of the equation, we get y equals 1 over 1 minus b times a minus bt plus I plus g. So this is how you determine income with government expenditure and taxes. So this is, let me just, okay, income determination with government spending and tax. So if we know the values of the constants that are government spending, investment and taxes, we can find out the equilibrium level of the national income using this equation, right? Okay, so the next I'm gonna show you how to determine government expenditure multiplier. So before I do that, let me explain what actually is government expenditure multiplier, right? So government expenditure multiplier basically tells you that by increasing, let's say, government spending by certain amount, how much will be the increment in the level of national income. So this increment in national income that we can determine using the government expenditure multiplier. So this is what is the use of government expenditure multiplier, right? So let me show you how to derive the government expenditure multiplier. Derivation of government expenditure multiplier. Okay, so how are we going to do this? I'm going to tell you very simple and basic logic that we are going to use to find out this multiplier. So what we will do is we'll increase the g here by a certain amount, let's say delta g, and which will certainly cause some increment in the level of national income, and we will call it delta y. That increment we will call it delta y, and then we will we will subtract the new equation by the original equation, and what we will be left with is only the increments that is happening due to change in government expenditure. So let me show you how it's done. So what we are going to do is we will increase the g, right? Let me just change the color. Okay, now I'm going to use let's use green. Okay, so we will be increasing g by delta g amount, right? This will certainly going to cause some increment in national income, which will be equal to delta y, and we are concerned how much this increment is, right? Which is caused because of this increment. So how are you going to do this? Delta y over delta g. We have to derive this. So this basically tells you that give you the value of multiplier delta y over delta g, which means that what is the increase in the level of income caused due to increase in the government expenditure. Okay, so let me introduce these changes in this equation. So this will be equal to y. I'm just leaving some gap here. Y over 1 minus b times a minus bt plus I plus g. Okay, so now we are increasing the government expenditure by delta g. Okay, so it'll cause some increment here. Let's call it delta y. Alright, so now let me just distribute this entire 1 over 1 minus b into the brackets so that you are able to understand the math easily. So this is equal to y plus delta y, and I'm going to do the same thing here. When I write this equation, I will be distributing 1 over 1 minus b into the brackets. Okay, so this is equal to 1 over 1 minus b times a plus 1 over 1 minus b times, this is not plus, okay, minus, plus 1 over 1 minus b plus, my brain is not functioning properly at this point of time, plus 1 over 1 minus b times g plus 1 over 1 minus b times delta g. I'm writing this very carefully so that I don't make silly mistakes here. Okay, so we're going to subtract y equal to, I'm going to distribute 1 over 1 minus b into the brackets. So you get 1 over 1 minus, a plus, not plus, I'm making silly mistakes, so many silly mistakes, I'm sorry about this. 1 over 1 minus b times bd plus 1 over 1 minus b times I plus 1 over 1 minus b times g. So if we subtract this equation from the new equation that we got right here, the common terms will get cancelled out. Okay, so y will get cancelled out, this will get cancelled out, this will get cancelled out, this and this and this. So basically what we are left with here is the change that we are concerned about. Delta y equals 1 over 1 minus b times delta g. Okay, so we'll bring delta g on the other side of the equation by dividing both sides of the equation by delta g. So we get, I'm going to just write it down here, we have a lot of real estate left. Delta y over delta g equals 1 over 1 minus b, and this is basically what we are calling the government expenditure multiplier, right? So this is the government expenditure multiplier. Government expenditure multiplier. Okay, so in the next video I'll show you how to determine tax multiplier, right? And then I will show you by combining tax multiplier and government expenditure multiplier. So basically government expenditure multiplier is a positive multiplier, which means that when you increase the government spending by a certain amount, it will definitely going to cause an increment in national income. But when you when you increase the taxation on income, it is basically causing a negative effect, which means if there is an increment in taxes with no increment in government expenditure, there it will cause a negative impact on the national income. Okay, so if the government is adopting or following a balanced budget policy, then this increment in taxation is equal to the increment in government expenditure, right? That means the amount the government is actually spending is equal to the amount that government actually collects as revenue in the form of taxes. Okay, and the value of this balanced budget multiplier is 1, and I will show you how to determine this value of balanced budget multiplier. Okay, so bye bye for now.